Hello.
Hello. We're back.
Yes.
And we have things to talk about. For
Uh,
once.
y- uh, yeah, we totally didn't look up like 2 seconds ago.
Yes. Because,
So,
yeah.
what do we start with? Graduation or the WhatsApp thing that apparently happened that I don't know about?
Let's start with graduation stuff.
Okay. Well, we graduated, and
We are officially engineers.
it sucked, and uh,
Yes.
no, that makes it sound ungrateful, but like,
Well, it did. Because usually, if especially for our American audience, the graduation is everybody sits in a big room, like all the families. You walk in, you get your paper, you walk out. In
yeah,
the Netherlands, we do it a little bit different. What we
yeah.
do is well, usually, what I would go pre-COVID is you would go into, you would kind of have the big room thing as well, but I never got to experience that because both times I graduated was during COVID. So,
My first
like during the
graduation was
shade
on
month.
a was like in a castle. Like,
Yeah, mine was sort of smaller, and it was basically just you are in the room with six, seven others, and you are basically there to just, yeah, literally all you did, like you did the same thing normally, but this time in a smaller group, and yeah, you had time slots. But this time, what they did was they asked us to go into a room every time, like a separate, like they take us on our own with our families
mm-hmm.
instead of
Well,
just a group. They would do it per family.
thing is, I get the idea, right? Like, it's not necessarily a bad idea. It's just that it makes things take very long.
Yes, instead of doing it in a group, they decided to do it
One on one.
one on one,
Well, not
which meant,
completely one on one. Your family or whatever, like whoever you invited
yeah,
is
but
there,
like
but
they only did one
yeah,
graduate at a time,
yeah.
which meant that we had, like, I was pretty much one of the last because of my last name, and that meant that I had to wait over an hour just to spend
but
10 minutes in a room
but
having to sign
A B
two
is
pieces of
very
paper.
early in the alphabet.
Yes, but it's also a B. That's also that is also very early alphabet. But I waited a long time with my family for just to spend 10 minutes in a room, sign two documents, and well, back home we went.
Yeah. Yeah, I had
Like they
basically the
missed
same experience.
they missed a lot they missed a lot of their chances of to just, you know, actually give us a graduation to properly remember. Right now, was kind of like, oh yeah, we graduated, yay.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Yeah.
It wasn't really a satisfactory ending to our, you know, 4 years of torture known as engineering. I can say that now because we've done it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it torture. Like, it wasn't that bad.
I guess. I mean, it wasn't really that bad. It's just it's engineering. It's gonna be a mess. And yeah. But oh well. A couple days later, we had some more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like going to
Yes,
the
we.
museum where they had. Go to a steam museum.
Like watching a Christmas movie.
Yes, you did watch Christmas Carol.
Like one of our friends, if you watched some of our other episodes, you may have seen him. He didn't know. He had never seen or read Christmas Carol. We were like, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, so we watched the Christmas Carol in the middle of summer.
It's not even summer yet. Summer starts next week.
Still, very early.
Yes.
Like, you couldn't go further away from.
Yeah, you could. Right after Christmas.
No, because it's still around Christmas.
Yeah, but...
Yeah. And sadly, I didn't have the proper music when leaving the car. I still just cannot get over how well that was timed. It was just like, right as I was about to step out of the car or shut the engine off, like shutting off, get out of the car, We'll Meet Again started playing.
Dude, when I got you out on, well, not home, but like to the church the next day.
Yeah.
When on my way back, freaking like the moment I like got onto the highway, Supersonic Racing started playing.
Nice. And did you also notice I did a funny with the car when I got out?
No.
Did you not notice I put the heated seats on?
Oh, yeah, I thought you just already did.
No, I did it right when I left, basically.
Well, I turned it off.
I thought I'd pull a funny.
Oh wait, I fucked it up. Oh well.
But yeah. But about that WhatsApp thing.
Yes.
Apparently, they're going to introduce ads.
What? On WhatsApp?
Yes. I'm not sure how you want to do that.
You just implement ads.
I mean, if you have one of those banner ads at the bottom, you know, like that could work. That could be a thing. But still,
This is an opportunity. I'm gonna try to get my parents on Discord. Mom, you know where they don't have ads?
Well, no, they don't have ads. Oh, no, Twitter does have ads. Does Tumblr have ads? Reddit does also have ads.
Does Pornhub have ads?
Get them on Reddit. Get chaotic. Introduce your parents.
Yes. Does Pornhub have ads?
Not sure.
Anyway, that's
just use an ad blocker.
That's a weird decision though. Like, why would WhatsApp get ads? Are they just financially that much in a shithole?
Probably not. They probably just want money. That's probably why they're doing it. They want the money.
But
and because they want the money, they're gonna try and get the money one way or another, and that is through advertisements.
But surely they know that people will leave for it, right?
Yes, but that probably outweighs the advertisement, like the extra income you get from the ads. I'm sure they've done their
Would it?
calculations about this.
Would they? Actually, yeah, they
Huh?
would. They would. It's a fucking company. It's not a
They would have
government.
done their calculations.
Yeah, it's not a government.
No, they don't do their calculations.
Ours doesn't.
No, and then they unintentionally start taxing a lot of, or start refunding money that they gave to people. Was it asking them it back, and splitting a lot of families apart, and messing everybody's life up. You know, they may or may not have done that. You know, just casually.
I do not know what you are talking about.
Because, you know, for those who actually don't know, in the Netherlands you can get money from the government if you have a child and you need to take it to daycare. So you would get money from the government for that.
Yeah.
But for a while the government wrongly terminated that for people, saying you have to pay us back because you are in the wrong. And that resulted in a lot of people having to people that didn't have the money, having to suddenly pay around 20,000 euros.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course they didn't have. So then their children got taken away.
Yep.
Which meant that, well, a lot of families were broken up.
Yep.
So now we don't really I don't think we really trust our government anymore. And
Well,
past that point.
I think we have more recent examples that made people,
Oh yeah, no.
let's call it, question the government.
I mean, we are gonna get new elections in October, which I hope people will be more competent and actually vote for.
No.
You know, parties that will cooperate.
So either they're gonna vote for the exact same ones.
Yes.
Or they're gonna vote, like, last one was, like, fairly right.
They're either gonna go far more.
And now either that or they're gonna go completely left, and both options are pretty bad.
It depends.
No, it doesn't depend.
Like, it going far left is probably does mean that taxes will increase, but it also means that you're gonna get more social services. Trains are gonna get cheaper. Buses are gonna get like public transport will get cheaper. There are more public services for the people that actually need it. And there's going to be higher tax for the wealthy. So yeah, we're also probably going to see more investment
Actually,
into education.
our
known to be incredibly underfunded.
Our biggest left party, you know what they said?
What?
Or at least, okay, so it's kind of funny because it's like a gigantic party because there are actually two that are like cooperating.
Yeah.
So they function as one party. They used to be two and they're not together, right?
Yes.
And one of the people in that party was like, you know, we stand for anti-capitalist, and then another person was like basically the leader was like, yeah, we want to be there for the people and for the companies. So like, anti-capitalist, but for the companies, right?
Yeah, for the company, sure.
How does that work?
I have no idea.
So yeah,
I
it's
mean,
it's kind of just a mess right now.
you can. It's kinda. But yeah, it's gonna be a curious thing.
Yes.
It is gonna be weird, but we'll see.
Yeah.
You know. Also, that's basically the first couple of things.
Yeah.
I actually have like 5 more items on here.
Oh, nice.
Do you want sad news first?
Uh, sure.
A flight within India has, well, not done it correctly.
Right.
As in, it started taking
Oh!
off,
Oh, I think I heard about this.
went
Did
up.
they didn't activate the flaps, or the flaps broke or something, right?
Not sure,
Like I think I heard
but
about this.
I have seen footage of how it went down, literally. I know, good choice of words.
Yeah, it
But
just it
it
just
started,
like went up and then immediately went back down, right?
well, it started taking off, so the nose was up. They never changed their angle of attack, which is what going up is called. Like you have your angle of attack, which is how much you're pointing up. They never changed that. They just kept pointing up. They started climbing. They stopped climbing. They started descending. They descended into the ground. They basically did one big hop.
Mm-hmm.
So that kinda was not the right move to do. And I think one person survived out of that.
Yeah, I did also hear that.
Like one, I think one British man survived out of all of the other people that actually passed away during that flight,
Yeah.
which is is yeah, it's kind of it is bad that that happened. It also is a Boeing once again, a 787 Dreamliner, which means that Boeing, which already a company that already wasn't doing well, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as you may know, Boeing, the company that had the
Yeah.
737 Max 8 that
Yeah.
dropped out of the sky as well. Now I have another plane which broke, which does show the horrendous quality control that they do.
Yep.
I'm not sure how long that company. Well, the company's going to be around, of course, for a long time, but because it does military stuff as well, so of course. But yeah. Speaking of things going down, a 81-year-old Italian man was in Rome in his car and at 4:30 in the morning decided it was the right time to go down the Spanish stairs.
What?
It's a very popular staircase outside. And he got stuck because he
Okay.
drove his car down the stairs.
Okay.
Because of course that is a very normal thing to do, driving a car down the stairs.
Oh. Oh, like that. Oh, wait. What? Okay.
Yeah, he straight drove his car down the stairs.
Why?
I don't know, but he just decided to do it.
Okay. I mean,
So,
you
yeah.
gotta do what you gotta do? Did no one
Which
get
is
injured?
no, not by the looks of it. It is he just drove down the stairs and got stuck because, well, driving downstairs or well, the car got hurt, but
Aw, poor car.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, but at the same time, it does kind of make sense that it was an 81-year-old man. He was probably confused
Right.
because you know
Yeah.
the man is confused. The man he does stuff. He drives down the stairs. But yes, shall we go on to the next one,
Alright.
which we have, which also involves an old person.
Oh, Biden.
No, the other one.
Obama.
The carrot.
The orange man.
Yes, because he held his No King's Day and military parade.
Oh. Well, that was
Because
fast.
he wanted to take part in the dictator dick measuring contest with North Korea and Russia.
Okay.
And yeah, bit weird. A lot of people are protesting it,
Mm-hmm.
which of course they are.
Yeah.
He's a direct threat to democracy, so people are starting to see that. So if you're in the US and you're listening to this, don't buy a Cybertruck. You will be seen as an asshole. And people will laugh at you, especially if you break down. Which you will, after the car has fallen apart completely. Considering they used the wrong glue, the car rusts quickly. You know, all the normal things that happen
Yeah.
because of incompetent leaders. Speaking of incompetent leaders,
How dare you call him incompetent, Joe?
oh please.
He was so good as an actor in Home Alone 2.
Now you just have to say one line. Even a child can do that.
I don't know any movie where a child says more than 2 lines.
Home Alone. you, you fell right into that one.
That's why I said it, Joe.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of incompetent leaders, North Korea is sending in military specialists to rebuild the Russian army, or rebuild Russia.
Wait, really?
Yes, so we won't have to worry about that army ever again.
Right.
They'll probably will be too busy shooting each other, like they've already been doing.
Right.
You know, because why not? They've been attacking each other, the North Koreans and the Russians, because the people are just... There's a big language barrier to begin with. So you already have a language problem. And North Koreans, I guess, don't really get taught on how to deal with the you know,
Yeah.
how to do who's who, like who's Russian, who's Ukrainian. Which then means immediately that
I think the people that are shooting at you are the Ukrainians.
Yes, but as a North Korean, who are you going to shoot at if nobody's shooting yet? And apparently they started shooting at the Russians. By the way, that is very old news already.
Yeah, I know.
In more recent news, Ukraine has completely started to completely collapse Putin with Operation Spiderweb, also known as let's set up a trucking company, haul a lot of drones over the border. Like they set up a hauling company.
Yeah.
Then they did a funny. They decided to put drones in containers, in like standard cargo containers, as one does.
Mm-hmm.
And after doing that, they then went and got the containers onto trucks deep into Russia as well. Nobody knew what was in those. They probably forced the documents, you know, just to make it look legit. And then they decided to send the drones up in the air near military airfields. And well, we all know what happened. Some of you might know what happened. 33% of the Russian Air Force or bomber fleet got destroyed,
Yup.
limiting Putin's nuclear capabilities as well. Because how are you going to launch nukes from a bomber if the bomber is burnt down on the ground?
Using a hot air balloon.
And their ICBMs are also useless because they fail. Like, they have, you know, those intercontinental ballistic missiles that they have.
Yeah.
A word you might remember from
Yeah. Video coming out at some point.
soon, PM. But it's kind of a little bit, you know, they might blow up within their silos or right after launch because they're still Soviet Union type or missiles, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
as one does, of course. And yeah, that does mean that Putin's capabilities are under spotlight. He's
Yeah.
incredibly paranoid because well, Ukraine has shown that nobody's safe. They've also gone not well. Ukraine doesn't claim they do, but a lot of high-ranking Russian officers have either mysteriously disappeared, accidentally fallen out of windows. I don't know which version, but they've fallen out of windows. Probably using iOS or macOS right now, or Linux. But apart from that, they're also just being assassinated. They get into their car and boom, they're in bits. And humans don't like being in bits.
Is it possible that like Russian people did that? Like just civilians?
Could be small resistance movements.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's what
hears
I mean.
about.
Like I don't claim to know anything about this, right? I just speculating.
But there is a little bit of, well, Ukraine doesn't really claim they've done it, but they do report on it quite rapidly.
Right.
Of course, they want to keep morale high because if you show that the enemy is suffering, morale will go higher. People will be more motivated to fight. And in a war where you're fighting for your survival, you need it.
Mm-hmm.
You need every little bit of morale you can get to get the people behind you to make sure that they are fighting right. Also, Ukraine has realized that Russia is using the exact same tactics over and over again.
Yeah.
Ukraine sets up a kill zone. Russia walks into that. Guess what happens? Guess what happens then? And that happens over and over and over and over and over again. Like, I don't know how they do it. Like, what in Looney Tunes Wile E. Coyote shit is this? You might as well paint a tunnel on a wall, and a day later you'll see a Russian tank stuck in that wall.
No, they'll drive through it because suddenly there is an actual road.
You think they're probably thinking that. Probably thinking, oh, a sneaky shortcut that we can, or a tunnel we can hide in, and then bonk. And nearby there's a drone, because apparently warfare has changed. Instead of being a fight of who has the most tanks, who has the bigger army, it's become who can manufacture drones the quickest. Then have a smaller army capture a town while bombarding the enemy with drones.
Yeah.
Though Ukraine is doing it more efficiently and actually targeting military installations, while Russia is just targeting everything, including civilians. Which, as we all know, kind of a war crime.
Yes.
So Putin is very welcome to join the people in The Hague, where he could be trialed. Although this likely is not going there anytime soon, and probably going to end up in a box known as the Forever Box. Which I guess that's what happens when you rise to power, keep all the power to yourself, and mess it up somehow. Like, royally screw it up somehow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That is basically how that conflict is going right now. I should
So
actually also do more research in the conflict within, like, Gaza, because that is a mess as well.
yeah. Oh, actually, didn't like one of them could like do something like something terrible, and now like our
Well, Israel is
government and I think a bunch of other governments were like sad about it or so. I don't know exactly. There was something happened.
well, basically how that conflict went down. You have Israel, I think, being it or attacking, and basically holding the entire Gaza Strip hostage and not allowing any aid to enter
Yeah,
to enter
I
that
do
area.
I do know that. But like
And it
one of
also
them
includes people
attacked
who are
the
waiting for
other.
food. Yeah, one of them attacked the other, and it now ends. Like, to me, from what I understand, is basically both sides are guilty, and yeah,
I mean recently, like
recently. Let me
uh,
look up some news. Well, we always have Wikipedia for the conflict. I don't need to see it in the 40s. I want to see what is happening now. Yeah, Hamas started a big surprise attack from the Gaza Strip.
Yeah, I think that may
Israel.
be it, but there was something that our government, and I think others as well, spoke out about.
Uh,
But I don't know.
yeah, but we all know that that is useless, pretty much. Because, yeah, if a government is basically a government saying, don't do that,
Yeah, but I don't
but
think it
let's do.
was like that. It was like different. I don't remember.
No idea, but if you look up that what the conflict is between Palestine and Israel, it's basically that Palestinians seek to establish their own independent state
Yeah, I know.
in one of part of the historic Palestine, and
Well,
yeah,
I don't know. That situation is like really complicated.
they want. Well, that entire strip is kind of a bit weird. There is Nazareth in there, if Jerusalem.
Okay, yeah. So okay,
It's basically
the
multiple religions
the
fighting
short
over
the
one piece of
short
land.
version is after World War II, the the Brits were like, hey, the Jews really need a place to go because they never really had their own place ever in history. So they were like, hey, you can go live there in Gaza. But there's an important detail there, and that is Gaza did not belong to England.
Yeah, basically the British were like, yeah, you can live here, and kind of kicked out
Yeah,
the people there.
yeah. That's the very short version of what happened, because there's a lot more.
Yeah, there are a lot more details, so I would recommend if you're interested in that to take a look and just
Yeah,
because we can talk about it, but the best way I think for people to understand this is to basically
yeah, I
go
mean,
look at a lot of different sources,
yeah,
try and get as many different opinions as possible.
yeah, we are the Bushblade Ramblings. We are not the Bushblade super well informed freaking
Yeah, we're just
news
two idiots
outlet.
talking about news. So basically, if you're listening to this and think that what we tell is a fact, it might be, but there's a lot of opinions mixed in there.
we,
So
we
just
we
think of the
we attempt
think of
not
the
to
topics.
misinform.
Yes, just think of the top. Just if there are any topics you like, I highly recommend what you do is you go and research them yourself.
Yeah,
Like just go look at as many different sources as possible. Look at what actually happened. Get as many different versions of the story if you can, because a lot of times, a lot of articles will try and mislead you a little bit. They're biased. Just get as
yeah.
many different opinions as you can humanly get your hands on. And
Actually, on that topic, I do know something that happened actually
what happened?
here in the Netherlands. Probably our biggest news outlet here in the Netherlands is the NOS. And they are
Yeah,
fairly reliable, they are fairly objective. Uh, and I think Extinction Rebellion was like protesting outside of their outside their office, like their building,
yeah.
pretty badly. Like, you know how Extinction Rebellion is like.
They glued themselves.
And
Did they glue themselves again?
no, bit more.
Oh, they've improved.
It's just barely not violent. Let's call it that.
Super
Um,
much violent.
um, and they were like, yeah, because they, for instance, the rainfall, like there was like a very heavy rain like a while ago in Spain, and like that sort of stuff. According to them, the NOS should have been like, should have said that that rain was caused by fucking, what's it called, climate change,
Climate change. Yeah.
which I see what they're getting at, but it's a news outlet, and they can only say that if the majority of the experts say that, which in this case was not the case. So
Yes.
they did say that, which makes sense. And they had like a bunch more stuff like that where it's like, no, of course they're not gonna say that. Like, it's currently unknown.
Yes, and there's a
But
reason that experts exist.
this led to the crazy situation where, you know, Pound? I think they're Pound. Are they Pound? No, they were not Pound. Wait, there was like another, like another news outlet.
Ground news.
No.
No, wait, it's just a service.
Their logo is like purple.
Pow.
Yeah, okay, that was close. Who literally exist to oppose the mainstream media. They were defending the NOS in these cases.
Yeah, because they know what proper reporting, or they should know what proper reporting is.
Yeah, but they literally exist because the creators of that didn't agree with a lot of the mainstream media.
Yes, but if you like, they know how you report stuff, and if they know
Yeah.
that if you only grab if you only grab the truth for a small faction of the population, you are basically gonna run into trouble.
Yeah.
Like you are just gonna mess things up. And reporting is basically just you look at the facts. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, an accident has happened. Like, let's say a car hit a tree. Then you're not gonna say the tree suddenly walked across the road. You're gonna look at the facts. Like, there's tire tracks on the ground, aiming towards the car suddenly.
Yeah.
What happened? And then you can speculate. Then an investigation happens. Then after that investigation, like, you make your first article on the fact that the accident happened. Then you might make a follow-up article if it's bad enough, with the explanation after the actual research has been done.
Yeah.
So they have done all their research, and it's now time for, like, all the facts are in line, especially with like things like a plane crash, for example. You get that.
Yeah.
Where first you get an article like a plane has crashed. Then you might get some smaller follow-up articles saying what happened and what the results of the research are. And that's how you do proper journalism, not just saying that things are weird. Like, oh no, there's climate change. Of course there is. We're even noticing that these weeks are in the Netherlands. Like, the day after this episode airs, we're gonna get 30-degree weather again.
Wait, are we?
Yes.
Ah, fuck.
Which means it might be smart to start looking into climate change. After, our experts have been screaming about it for, I think, around 40 to 50 years now.
Yeah, fun fact, Shell is actually one of the first to find out about it. Like, to report on it.
Do anything with it? Of course not, because it would limit profit. And it's a big company. Of course, they want money. That's what they're here for. They want money.
Yeah.
Well, you could make a solid argument that going for renewable energy sources is better for long-term profits because fossil fuels will eventually run out. So you're investing all of this energy, all of this money into something that is going to end eventually. Well, if you invest in renewables,
But so here's the thing. We're all gonna die at some point. So you're investing all that money for food into something.
you're investing all the money for the existence of the company for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
Because at some point, we're going to run into the problem of, hey, we're running out of the, we're running out of oil, for example.
Yeah.
Well, all those platforms that they've built within, like in the oceans or in the seas, are going to be useless. Of course, you could turn them into hotels, but they're still going to decay and rot and do weird things. So they're going to require a lot of upkeep, like they already do.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't want it to be incredibly fucking hot in the summer, or just weird weather in general, maybe think about, how can we fix this problem? For example, taking a bike to work. Especially if you're in the Netherlands and you only have to ride a bike for like 5 to 10 minutes. Like, let's say for a max of 20 minutes or half an hour, I would say just grab your bike. Like, even if it's raining, you will dry up. Trust me, I've done it. I've biked 20 minutes through pouring rain. I was soaked,
Yeah.
but at lunch I was dry. I
Yeah.
dried up completely.
I've been through that like multiple times.
Yes, but apparently not enough people think. Well, there's something I noticed as well. If it's raining, traffic jams are way bigger. Like
Oh yeah, I wonder why.
I've had times where I was biking through the rain because I didn't have my driver's license or a car. Still don't have a car, but I do have my driver's license. And I was basically laughing to myself because I was biking past an entire traffic jam.
Yeah.
I probably got home earlier than them because I was on my bike and there's nobody in front of me.
Yeah.
So not only that, but also if you start biking a lot, you're gonna hurt the big oil companies because they realize, wait, fossil fuels aren't doing it anymore. Maybe it's time to invest in some other stuff so that we can advertise. Like renewables. And I'm not sure how I feel about battery electric cars because they take a lot of environmental impact to
Yeah.
produce, and batteries degrade over time. They are prone to fire, and once they're on fire, they take literal days to extinguish. Like, if an electric car is on fire, you literally have to just submerge them in water. Like, they have to basically get in like an open-topped container, fill it with water, put the car in there, wait 72 hours for the entire battery to be cooled off enough so it doesn't reignite.
Yeah.
Because the thing with battery electric cars, if they start, lighting themselves up, there are like 400 cells in a car, or it's around that number depending on the size of the battery, of course. Let's take 400, nice round number. One cell goes up in flames, heats up a lot because it's a battery fire. That then heats up the cells next to it so much that they start lighting on fire as well, and they get this domino effect of your batteries burning from one side to the other. Hydrogen cars, on the other hand, are also a danger because hydrogen
Yeah.
is a lot more inefficient, and it just results, like, sure, hydrogen cars are probably a good way to get everybody off combustion and like get off like fossil fuels. Yes, it's more inefficient than battery electric, but you can modify existing cars to hydrogen. You might need an entire engine replacement, but you can design an engine that basically has the same mounting points as the previous engine. Like, all you have to do is probably change some internals around, maybe change the injectors, and you're done. Yeah, and of course, change the fuel supply. Boom, you now have a hydrogen car. And you can keep your combustion engine. So you still have, especially for car guys like me as well, you will be able to keep your sound of a combustion engine, which is nice. It's good. It'll probably be cheaper. You can probably produce it at home as well. Like, all you have to do is shove electricity through water, catch the gases, cool those down a lot to they're a liquid. But if you do it at home, you probably just need a really good tank. So don't make your own home setup unless you are an expert on the subject. Which, even then, you know what kind of a dumb idea that is. Storing gases under very high pressure within your house. But then you can charge your car then you can refuel at home. You could even catch rainwater, and the only exhaust that you will have is water. Because, let me give you some science. Let's do a science lesson, real quick. A chemistry lesson. Burning something is basically a reaction with oxygen.
Yes.
So,
No.
well, if you see it in a chemical way.
No.
Like,
oxidizing is a reaction with oxygen.
burning as well. If you write a formula, like a chemical formula, and you're burning it, you're basically writing
Yes.
the thing you're burning plus O2.
Yes.
Well,
but if you say a reaction with oxygen, that's
yeah, oxidization is also a
yeah.
reaction with oxygen, just without high temperatures and everything.
Yes.
But let's say you have a lot of hydrogen, which is H. You're starting, and you add air to it, or oxygen. You add O to it. You have an H and an O. Let's add but you add more. Well, let's say you add more fuel than oxygen. You add twice the amount of hydrogen, which is H, than oxygen. Now you're getting H2O. But wait, what is H2O? Water. So the only thing coming out of your exhaust, apart from maybe some other versions of like H2O2,
Yeah.
HO2, like you might get a little bit of that, but if you set it up correctly, most of the things coming out of that exhaust is drops of water, which I'm not sure if it's sanitary enough to drink. Probably not.
No idea.
There are probably going to be contaminants in there.
But you can always clean it.
Yes, what you might as well do, and it's just a funny engineering idea that I had. Put a filter within the car, put a little tank for water in the car as well, and for road trips, you fuel up, you drive a bit, you can now have a drink. And if you want to pull a funny, if you put a kettle in there as well, it's especially handy for campers, I realize, because you can drive with fuel, fill up your water tanks in the meantime, so you can basically empty your tanks in the shower in the morning, drive a bit to your next destination, and when you arrive, have a nice cup of tea or coffee, because you have fresh water in there from your engine. So not only can you make driving a lot more environmentally friendly. You can also have a drink while you're driving. Of course, non-alcoholic. It's just water. You might as well put some lemonade with it in your car as well, so you can make lemonade or any other beverage of choice. You can buy syrup for like, let's say, Coke. I'm talking about the drink here. Calm down, YouTube. And make that. Or alternatively, you can do Pepsi. But the implications of that are better than, you know, fossil fuels.
Yeah.
It's also better for your health. So you can breathe more. You can breathe easier. Which also makes it easier for you to ride a bike. Because instead of it is very tiring to ride my bike, it will be less tiring. And also, that is just called do some more sports. Yeah, that was like a 20-minute rant about climate change.
Yeah.
And how to possibly solve it. Because, you know, big oil companies might be dropping barrels of oil into the ocean. I'm not talking about with the barrels as well, but the liquid size, basically.
Didn't you do that more with like what's it called? Like nuclear waste?
Possibly. I mean, Japan did it at some point, dropping a bunch of nuclear waste within the ocean. But that was because of a tsunami that came after an earthquake that caused a leak. Which, to be fair, is understandable if that happens. Like, I completely understand that it happens.
I don't. Why was it not protected against an earthquake that literally moved Japan? Why were they not prepared for that?
Probably because, well, it was an entire, you know, Japan being a nation which is known for their earthquakes as well. Like, they are pretty much known for it.
No, I think it's because they knew they were gonna base Godzilla, what is it, Shin Godzilla off of it. Like 14 years later. Wait, when that movie came out? I don't know. Anyway, how did we get there?
High temperatures and me basically saying if you don't want those anymore.
All right, yeah.
Start thinking about climate change and how it's affecting you.
And how do we get there? Oh yeah, because like a news outlet. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Can
you tell both of us? Well, one of us is known to be on some sort of spectrum. And for me, probably. But then again, I also have had multiple people tell me I need to go and seek therapy, so No, they say humor comes from pain, right? Well, apparently not, because apparently I'm not that funny.
In that case, my stories that I write should be fucking comedy.
Not in that sense.
I'm not gonna get into here what I mean by that.
No, I know what he means by that, and that's kind of concerning.
No, but
I'm opening drawers to try and find what was it trying to find again? Oh yeah, screen protectors because I need to replace mine. Because yes, of course. Because screen protectors are, even though
Oh
they're not
wait, actually.
necessary to put on your
Hmm.
phone, they are a recommend. I would highly recommend you put them on your phone. Because putting them on your phone means that, well, you have the opportunity of dropping your phone without it getting damaged. Otherwise, you're gonna drop your phone and you pick it up and the screen is gonna be cracked. In the meantime, I don't have to worry about that again because I protected my screen. I do buy them off AliExpress though because I'm not paying a lot of money, like $10 or more, to have somebody put one on. Instead, I apply them myself after buying like 10 or 20. Although I probably should actually go and seek a new phone because security updates. But that's a problem for later me. That's for future me to deal with. Right, but well, I'm not technically through my list already.
So, one more thing on the whole, oh shit, on the whole like conflict thing.
Yeah.
Cause as you know, I started playing Metal Gear Rising.
Yes.
And a lot of people probably know it from like memes and shit, mainly because there's a character literally talking about memes in it.
Yes.
Which, if you listen to what he actually says, by the way, he makes some like very good and interesting points. But today I was playing and there was something very interesting that he said. There's like the robot dog and he's like AI, right?
Yes.
So after a fight with a guy that the dog, I guess, respected, he's an AI. I don't know how else to put it. You know, the guy dies, and then he asks, was this outcome truly necessary? Evidence, what was it? Evidence non-conclusive. And he says, perhaps there is no correct answer.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, like, for, like, a, you know, for conflict, I think it's such a cool is not the word. But, like, it's such a good, like, we've talked about this before, about the whole thing of, like, blame and stuff in conflict.
Yes.
But this is kind of, it's kind of like that. But, like, from a different angle, I guess, like a different thing. Because, yeah, there is no correct answer there. It depends on who.
Yeah. There is rarely a conflict where one party is guilty.
Mm-hmm.
It's more likely that both parties share the guilt. I mean, I do know well, when is a conflict? It's not really a conflict. But I'm gonna say my parents' relationship. Like, my dad broke that off. was kind of
Mm-hmm.
it basically came from my dad's side. Like that was the one conflict where I would say that only one party was really guilty. But otherwise, like every other conflict, or most conflicts, it's mainly the fault of both parties, and both need to and both just yeah. Like both parties just need to be punished equally. Where, of course, you're always going to get that little bit of that somebody's going to whine.
Yeah.
Like you already know that at least somebody is going to complain.
Yeah.
Because there are always people that are going to complain.
True.
Like there's always people that are complaining about things that are wrong, that are
Yeah. Anyway, you had more, I think, right? Like you had like 5 things on your list.
Yeah, we're already through that.
Oh.
I already thrown the paper away.
Oh.
Because I was through the list.
Alright. Well, did anything else happen?
Sure. Apart from well, there's some personal news, which is that tomorrow we're gonna get the keys to the new apartment, which means that from like recording next week's episode might become a little bit sketchy to get the recording date done, but we'll have to figure that one out later. Like I cannot reliably say.
Yeah.
That it is going to be that day that I can actually record.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to wait and figure that one out at some point.
Alright.
So yeah, I'm gonna be moving to a new room, a slightly bigger room. I'm gonna move from just under 6 square meters to just over 8 square meters. 2 whole extra square meters of space I'm gonna have available to me. And I'm immediately gonna get train seats in my room. Because yes, I do want train seats in my room. I have purchased them. I wanna sit on them. Do stuff to clean them properly, but that's optional, right? That is purely optional to clean them. Of course, I'm gonna clean them. Otherwise, it's gonna be a bit of a mess.
This is a very satisfying level. If only I didn't mess up those 3 times. Anyway, do we also end it here then, or like we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes?
Wait, what's the NATO thing?
Oh yeah, I think. Well, I don't know if it started yet.
Well,
But
like
it's
half of the
like
Hague is shut.
soon. Yeah. But that's gonna be shut for like half the year for some reason.
Like they have legit. I'm not kidding. Turned, like removed actual trees
Yeah, I know.
just to get the, like, just actually give the government enough safety, which I do not well, I do understand, but why go out of your way to move a lot of trees?
I don't know. Because they were in the way.
It is not necessary to move the trees. Like, yeah, they've actually put down military equipment. They've put down.
Yeah, I know.
Also, this might
Half the
be
police in the country is there.
Yeah, like they did not approach this the right way, in my opinion. They shared a location where helicopters, radar, and anti-air systems are located. All you have to do is put those locations on a map, and you now know where the air defense is.
OPSEC, what's that?
Congratulations, you can now attack
The world leaders.
Yeah. Smart move from the Dutch government as usual. We really are good at this.
Yeah, well. I don't know if this was up to the government, actually.
Well, probably. Apart from that...
Why am I not in streamer mode in Discord? That's weird.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, Discord does... Like, it is fixed for me now, but I had a couple of times where OBS wasn't operating Discord properly. Because
Yeah.
usually, if you start Discord, if you have Discord open and you start OBS, it puts it in Discord in streamer mode.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, what streamer mode is, it's basically it hides usernames. Like if you have long usernames, it starts to hide them, just puts them to one letter. It disables all sounds apart from the apart from like soundboard things and people talking, but things like notifications, people joining calls, you won't hear that anymore. That is basically what that does. It's nice to have. It's a nice function to actually have and be able to use, instead of having the problem of, am I actually capable of, although having the join sound is nice to have.
Yeah, that's true.
especially if you're streaming. So you can actually hear when somebody's joining the call, so you don't have to keep Discord open all
Yeah.
the time. Because some games don't really allow for like some games don't update the overlay all that much. I know with Stormworks it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And it's very annoying when it doesn't update the when it doesn't update
Shit.
update it live. Like usually it's live, you can see when somebody's talking and when somebody's quiet or if somebody joins. With Stormworks it kind of glitches so much that it straight up stops working most of the time.
Yeah.
And actually causes it to be a bit of a problem. But I think we kind of ran out of things to talk about, and we've been going for an hour and 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I can see the OBS recording.
Yes.
Well, you guys can't. Haha.
I mean,
So, what are you doing? Oh, you're gonna switch to that?
hold on.
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna make it display?
No, that's you. That's you.
Well, you can also keep it on that if you want.
There. Now they can.
Now
Now they can see the recording.
Now they've created the infinite loop. So yeah, if you look down at the bottom, you can see the red dot. You can see the
Yeah.
recording time.
Yeah, if you look very, very closely.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at as well.
That's you. That.
Car I've been making for an entire day because cars are interesting and fun.
But I think that's gonna be it.
Yep, that leaves us with only one thing to say.
Yes.
We're not experts.
But we were here.